Hi, it's me again with Corel Tips and Tricks, part 2 of this, trying to duplicate this. So in part 1, we drew this. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for the video. Now what we need to do is draw these lateral lines and cut this out. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a 2-point line, and I've never done this before, so I'm going to hit P, put it in the center page. I'm going to hit P, put it in the center page. Let me move this out of the way. And then I need basically 3 lines that are offset from that. So I'm going to actually nudge these, and I don't know how far to nudge it. I'm going to say, let's see how big this is, 13 inches. I'm going to nudge them 1 inch and just to see. So I'm going to just Control D and make a duplicate. That might be too much. Let's go, I didn't really make this square very good. I should maybe play with it a little bit more. Let's go 0.75. And let's Control D it. Control D and make a duplicate and move it over. That'll work. So I need 3 lines. Now on this, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now I do not need that center one, so I'm going to delete it. And what we need to do now, and what we can do probably the easiest, is to go through here and delete that. So now you kind of see where I'm hopefully going. I might need another line. Well, I will. I need another line to go across at an angle. So let's just take a 2-point line and go. I almost think I'm going to have to go off this line, because if you don't, it's going to look a little funny. And because we're cutting it, maybe it won't look funny. So now let's hit the plus key and mirror it and put it right. No, we're in the middle one, so put it right there. That's going to kind of give us this block. So now if you can just think about this as your edge, and we could go ahead and, to make it maybe easier for ourselves, go ahead and take that away. I'm going to go ahead and take those lines away. Because a lot of times I think if you get rid of some line, you can kind of see some things better. And we'll go ahead and get rid of these lines. So that is that top part. This is going to be our bottom part, so we can delete these lines. And now if you look, you can see these 2 lines are the corners. And I really don't think it's going to, I kind of screwed up there. So maybe that line that I drew needs to go off of here. Yep. I'm going to hit the plus key, mirror it, and then put it up. And maybe that's how that gentleman got off when he was doing this. There might be some mathematical formulations. Let me make sure I'm doing this right. I've got to look back at my own picture. That looks good. I think that'll work. Now we need to get rid of these interior lines. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key so I can swipe through without getting those lines. So we're a little bit thicker back here than I would want, and a little bit thinner on these, but I think this will work. Now I'm going to group this together, Control G. And now I'm going to bring in my indexing lines and make sure this one's in the center of the page, and it's not. So now I can bring this one up, and I'm going to get that. I just need to move this up. And I'm going to hold down the control button after I start moving it. And then hold down the control button. And these are probably going to be too long, and we might need to cut them at an angle. And so now I'm going to Control D and make a duplicate. And I'm going to move the center rotation and say like right in there. And I'm going to rotate it 120 degrees. Yeah, we're a little bit far apart. So let's just delete that. Let's make whenever you see anything jump, just put it back. I'm going to put evidently when I went back, I moved that. Now we can probably just move this. Yeah, that won't look too bad. Put it back. I still think They're a little bit long. So I'm gonna move up to the center of the page. That was just ironically that I did that. Now Control D and make a duplicate and rotate it 120 degrees. Control D and rotate it 240 degrees. So we've got a mess in the middle, but I think this is gonna work. And then maybe in a third video later, I will make it shadowing so you can kind of see. I'm going to get rid of my indexing lines so they won't bother me. And then you just got to kind of use your imagination what these lines should look like. And if you look at this, there's these lines going. This one's going to be totally different. These are more on the inside, but I need these just to go through here. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and swipe through here. And at some point, we're going to probably need to figure some things out, which one's going. So when it goes past, these lines are invisible. These lines are invisible. And we might need to put some corners there. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key again. Alt key is pretty good because the Alt key is whatever anything touches, it's going to do it. This looks totally different than the one over here, but you know, it still looks pretty cool. I'm going to say we have to delete that line and delete that line. And then we need to zoom in because I'm not exactly perfect right here. And if we added some shadow later, you would definitely be able to see these squares. Now in this picture, well, maybe that's what I need to do. I need to add some diagonal lines here. And I mean, granted, that looks pretty, matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to set my nudge factor on like, wow, it's huge. Set it on 18 inches. And I'm going to hit the plus key and make a copy. That way, and see, I think I'm exactly where he was. These are going, they expanded out. But let's try this. Let's try taking a 2-point line and going from there to there and cut away and maybe actually put that line back. And if you ever want to continue a line, you could do that right there and then just delete that line. I don't like having double lines, but we need that part right there. We do not need these lines because we're going to make it look like it disappears in there. And I actually needed that one. So you can always back up. I need to delete that line and that line. Actually need another line right there. Like I said, I'm just doing this off my cuff. There we go. That looks pretty good. And that way it looks like that square. Whoa, it does look like that. What to do here? You know, it's just totally different than this one. Because the angles are actually, the one he drew, the angles are actually in there. I'm going to say that's just a hard call. Let's just delete some lines, see what it looks like. Of course, you'd want these to be at an angle. You know what we could do, now that I got this right, let's delete some of this. Whoop, those were connected. So ungroup them. And if something like this doesn't interest you, still got a group there. Break curve apart. I'm trying to get rid of these little bitty lines. We can trot. That's broken too, or group together. So whenever you see, so I'm jumping back. Whenever you see it's grabbing, you either have to ungroup or break curve apart to get rid of that piece. We might just try this. Let's, first of all, I'm gonna make a copy of it. Then I'm gonna group this together, Control G, and then I'm gonna duplicate it. And then I'm gonna try just moving it up. Nope, that didn't work. That in itself is just pretty cool. I've kind of lost my train of thought here. You know what we could do? Now that I made a copy of this, I'm going to delete that part of it. Group this together, Control G, and I'm going to rotate it 240 degrees and just bring it into our picture. See, my drawing is just totally different than his. So you could, just kind of place this, and I'm already going to apologize for this video. I'm not very happy. We could try drawing lines from here to that way, and then that way we'll know where to put the lines. I'm doing actually pretty good. Now I know how he was off. So now the lines are off pretty far, but I'm gonna change my nudge factor now to something low, 0.01, and grab this, which is a group, and just kind of nudge it up till those lines kind of meet it there. And now I know why his drawing was off, because if he had to do any of this, that's why his drawing's off. And then, I'm working off the page now, so you see some lines you shouldn't be able to see. And that bugs me, so I'm going to move it. Try to grab it all. Bring it over here out of the way. That line of that page was messing me up. And then we're going to take, we don't want to see these lines because they're on the other side. That looks pretty good. Now we just need to do the exact same thing on the other side. So I apologize, but I'm just playing around. This is how you learn. So I'm just going to make 3 lines, and I'm trying to mimic them. Some mathematician might, some mathematician might, and so those 2 lines are actually joined. I don't like that. I'm gonna cut that line away and just redo it. So I'm going to take the shape tool and extend that line, holding down the control button. Extend that line to there. Now see the angle just isn't going to work. Let's just delete it and start that line again. And then having a bad day of mouse movement. And here we've actually lost one of our lines. So that line should go to there. We're a little bit of an angle off. We're just going to go here. And I'm way off with our lines. Well, you know why? Because I drew those other lines. I don't need to meet those lines any particular place. I wasn't thinking about that. So I need to, don't worry about where the lines meet, just have it come out at the same angle. So I'm going to have this just come out at the same angle. And those lines will be in the right spot when it's all said and done. And then I need one more line, so I'm just going to make a duplicate of that and just kind of move it where I think it should be. Now take and hopefully I will figure out a better way to do this where you could mathematically do it. But now we just need to draw a line from there to there and delete these extra lines. and then delete. Now I'm going to hold down the Alt key. The Alt key helps you draw that little line. That didn't look half bad, but I do now see how he got off here. You know, if we take the parallel dimension tool, 1.87 versus 2.33, we're off like a half of an inch at least, 233. So I can see how he did it now. I need to find a remedy to that. But anyway, stay tuned to maybe part 3 later, and I will put some shadowing in here so it kind of looks a little bit different. And if you really look at it funny, you know, the different parts don't seem to match up, but we're pretty close to the center. Anyway, I hope that helped just a little bit, and thank you for watching.